Good afternoon, good evening. It's Bec and Deb here, and welcome to this week's show. It's great to have you with us.
It's nice to have you back, Bec.
It's nice to be back, yeah.
I was talking to myself
How
last
did it
week.
go last week without me?
It was all good. It was all good.
Good. So as always, we like to share with you what we've got coming up so that you know where you can find us and join in with some stuff with us. So I wanted to let you know today that this week is the last week that Relationship School will be at the offer price of £250. So if it's something you've been looking at, if you've heard us talk about it, if you're vaguely interested,
Jump in.
if you're kind of scratching to go and you haven't managed to convince yourself yet, do it this week, because from Monday, from August, it'll be up to the full price of £495. So join in, and if you join in now, you get lifetime access to. And Relationship School has been I think one of our favourite little babies of recent, hasn't it?
Yeah,
and it's starting to grow little legs and toddle around, so you won't want to miss it. You won't want to miss it.
Certainly won't want to miss a toddler learning from us. It's amazing.
It's great fun, and it's an amazing programme. We had a huge amount of fun in April and May, we are raring to go with some fantastic new ideas.
Lovely, some brilliant stuff. It's going to be great.
Yeah, join us now, and you can find that on our website, debbu.co.uk.
Absolutely. And we are really, really excited because we have actually been able to book a retreat in October. It is from the 2nd to the 5th of October, and it is at Country Ways, which is here in North Devon, a truly, truly beautiful place. If you've never been to one of our retreats, you're missing something amazing. And oh my gosh, what's the so no, I better not say that word wrong.
Fear of missing out. Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, the retreats are amazing. We're really, really thrilled that we've been able to book this one in October, and we would absolutely love to have you with us. So the information for that, is it on our website?
It's actually not at the moment, and the reason for that is because we are working closely with the venue to make sure that the retreat can go ahead safely, following the guidelines. So at the moment, what we're asking you to do is just contact us to reserve your place, and as soon as we know we can definitely go ahead and what the guidelines will be, we will contact anybody that's reserved a place and start sorting out payment. The price for the retreat this time is £325, but we're not asking for payment yet because we just want to make sure everything is definitely in place that we can go ahead safely. But the places will be limited, of course, so do get in touch. We've already had 3 people reserve their places and it only went out this morning.
So we are
getting quick.
super excited about that. Yeah, and obviously we are going to be following all the guidelines and doing it properly. But if you are interested and you want us to save you a place, do get in touch. You can find us all over the place. You can comment under this video wherever it is you're watching us. You can message us on Facebook. You can email us or contact us through the website. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with us and just ask us to save your place.
Yes.
So did you learn anything? Did you live at all last week?
I was living and learning like nobody's business last week. It actually was a really interesting. I know we've already had a little conversation about this, but the kind of, for me, obviously what I was living was on a campsite. If you didn't know, I was in Norfolk camping last week with my partner. And what I actually, the thing that really came to me last week was how much doing those kinds of things and living in that way, you know, kind of being out in the world, being with my partner, doing something like camping. We did things like went and looked at castles, we went to nature parks, we did some canoeing, we went for walks, we went to the beach. We just did all the kind of
lovely.
ordinary holiday things, if you like. But for me, what I really saw again was how much of that I do from a completely different space. Like just the internally where my head's at and what's going on, the internal noise for me is so very different to how it was a few years ago. And I really saw that again while I was on holiday with my partner. And those kind of moments that can happen sometimes, you know, whoever it is, whether it's a romantic partner, kids, parents, whoever it is in your life, those places that used to be like kind of irritating for me, you know, those things that used to get on my nerves, and that moments that would happen where you think, oh, why didn't you this, or they should have that, or, you know, oh, it's raining and it's my holiday, or the campus next door are being noisy when I think they should be quiet. Those kinds of things that happen in life, how much more graceful and easy they are in the headspace that I'm in these days. The majority of the time when I turn up to life from that space of, I don't need to be in that agonizing space. I don't need to be getting myself all wound up and, you know, seeing my partner or other people through the filters of being annoyed and they should be different. And actually, there was just so many beautiful moments during that week. So many moments between me and my partner, between people that I don't even know their names and I'll probably never see again on a campsite, you know, all those kinds of situations. I just had a really amazing week of kind of reflecting on that. I get to live that life 99% of the time now because I keep my mind clear and I come back to being reminded of how we work.
I think that is absolutely priceless. I really do.
Too.
And I have really noticed with the world coming back to life again, you know, this announcing our retreat and people going out into the world again, what we've all been through over these last few months, you know, what we have all lived through. I know at the beginning of it, there was a lot of words thrown about like unprecedented, unknown before, unknown territory and things like that. And although those things have calmed down a bit now and we're not maybe speaking in those ways, we are absolutely venturing into the unknown. And although we have always been doing that, and although we are wired to do that, it's been really highlighted over the past few months. And one of the things that I noticed as we are beginning to come out the other side now and being invited back out into the world, it can be really confusing because I know we're still being asked to, you know, follow safety rules and be careful and still social distance to the best that we can. And then yesterday I was scrolling through my Facebook looking at a few things and I know there's been this thing announced that says a lot of cafes and restaurants have joined this scheme and you get money off if you go out to eat because they're encouraging us back into the world. And it almost feels like it reminded me of how I used to be with Gemma when she was small, when I lived in a really, really fearful headspace and I would want her to do something and I would push her to do it and pull her back, and push her to do it and pull her back. And I can almost feel that going on in the world. We're kind of being encouraged out, but then held back, and encouraged out and held back. And it's a really strange space to live in. And what occurred to me when you were talking, what I've really seen, some of the other things as I was scrolling through Facebook is how many different opinions there are about social distancing and maybe another spike and what coronavirus is and what isn't, and should we wear masks and shouldn't we, all of these different things are going on. And exactly like you said, there's all these people who are living in this horrible headspace that I know I used to live in it all the time too. And it is absolutely, just as you were speaking and describing what your life's like now, I thought, yeah, mine is like that too. My headspace is just, it's a great place to be inside my mind. It's lovely. Even when there's stuff going on, it's just a really, really, I love living inside here, whatever you call it. Whereas I know for many, many years, it would just be like a nightmare in there. And I could really see through some of the posts and some of the stuff that I was reading on Facebook, how much of that stuff that you were talking about, this person shouldn't think that, they shouldn't have this opinion, and my opinion's different, and my opinion, and I understand why we do that. It really feels to us that we are right, and if people don't agree with us, we are in trouble. It hurts and it hits up against stuff, and we suffer. We really suffer. And the headspace we live in is scary and noisy, and it's not nice. And absolutely, what I have seen again this week and from the conversations we've been having is, when we look in this direction, when we begin to understand who we truly are, we can really, really value other people's opinions and understand why they have such a different opinion to us sometimes. And I saw a really, really lovely post by an amazing lady and friend of ours, Jill Whalen, and she was talking about freedom. And she said something like, when we shut other people down, we shut some of the freedom down in us. And all of this that is going on for us is we want to feel free. We want to feel that exact space you were talking about. And it's like, if we dismiss someone else's opinion and don't value it, and we shut that down, we're shutting down a little bit of the freedom inside us too. So yeah, absolutely, I really see that being a part of this conversation. A byproduct of being in this conversation is that we just get to have the best human experience that is available, coronavirus or not, rain or not, noisy neighbours or not.
Yeah. As it happened, we didn't get much rain on our holiday, which was amazing. But you do kind of, there's just so many places where we're invited to have a nicer experience.
Absolutely. And it's just amazing to live in that headspace. It's brilliant.
So while I was away last week, Deb very dutifully sat down and came up with this week's questions and topics, and then it turned out it was me to share the question and topic first, so putting me entirely on the spot.
To be fair to me, the exact opposite happened last time. Then you'd done the questions and
I had,
like,
this is what I've got to talk about while Bec's not here. So the question that Deb picked last week for today was, should I leave my relationship?
It came about because I've had a couple of conversations with people who've been asking me this question, and so I feel that it's relevant because I know it was a question.
It's a great question.
Yeah, when I was in a mess, it was a question I asked myself a lot.
And the first thing that comes to me, we were having a conversation with a group of people we're working with last night, and we had the call that we were having was set up that we brought a question a bit like that to the table, and each of us kind of shared what we might say if we were working with a client or if a friend had asked us that. And there was quite a few amazing answers. It was a slightly different question, but that kind of thing. And the one that really stood out to me was somebody shared that what they would do if somebody was kind of in front of them was in some way gently guide them back to their inner wisdom. And that kind of comes to me when I hear a question like that, because on the surface it sounds like it should just be a yes or no answer. And in a way it can be, and I know some of the people that maybe have been asking Deb that question, from the outside I can look at other people's relationships and think I know whether they should be in them or not. We can have a really strong opinion on whether you should.
Would you leave that person?
But it's that, to me, it's like, you have your own wisdom on that. You know where you're at with your relationship and what the right thing to do is. And even if you don't kind of know it up here immediately, or if you have a bit of a knowing but you kind of talk yourself in or out of whatever that answer is, if you are brave enough to look at the question, you can find that answer. And to my mind, there's almost if you're asking that question, even if the answer isn't an outright yes, there's at least a part of you that's saying something needs to be different here. Because to my mind, like, I know I've been in a relationship with the same person on and off for quite a long time, and I know there have been times when I've asked that question, and it's partly because I know something isn't right for me. And then there's been times when I've been in that relationship and that question isn't even relevant. It's not even a question. And at the moment, that's the status for me. It's not even a question, because I just know that I'm in the relationship and I love it. And yet, if there's times when that question's coming up for me, there's something in that that's at least saying, stop and look at you and where you're at. And that kind of is what the question invites to me. It doesn't necessarily have to be a black and white yes or no, but if the question's coming up, there's an invitation to start looking, and the place to start looking is always with yourself.
Yeah, I think that is the key, isn't it? I think it's very, very often, if that question is arising in you, there is something going on. And very much, the people that I've been talking to, certainly there is absolutely a place where it's almost, they want to ask that question to hear it out loud because it is something that's going on for them. Should I leave this relationship or not? And then absolutely the invitation there is to look. And it is really, really, we often want to blame the other person. And I absolutely can see that when I was in a relationship that I wanted to leave, I wanted it to be his fault, and I wanted to be exonerated and given permission to leave. And what I see now, what I absolutely see is I did know what I wanted to do, but I was scared. I was really, really scared. And I get that, when I was speaking earlier and saying about living in the unknown, it doesn't feel as if we live in the unknown. It feels we have this kind of idea that we know. We have this idea that we know how our life should pan out. We know what should happen, and we need to stay with what we know. And what I've seen since I've been in this conversation more and more is that we actually live in the unknown. If you stop for a minute and look, you can tell the story that you know what you're going to do today. We have things that we have planned, we have things in our diary, we have appointments, and I could easily say, yeah, I know that's going to happen, then I know that's going to happen, and I know that is going to happen. And because most of it probably will, it's really easy to kid myself that we live in a world where we know what is going to happen. But equally, the other side of the coin is as evident. I cannot tell you how many times I've had my day planned out and then a phone call has happened or something, and the day has gone on a completely different tangent because we actually don't know. We always live in the unknown. And the great thing about that is we are wired to do that. We're wired to be continually lifting our foot and not knowing where it's going to land next. But we just tell ourselves the story that's really scary. And the other thing that was really hitting home for me when you were speaking then, Bec, is and I saw it more clearly in the moments when you spoke, when that question is arising in us, should I leave my relationship? The invitation that there is something going on for you there. And the invitation is to look at, how can I show up differently? There's something in me here that needs to shift and change. That is a growing, a changing, a knowing within you. It's not about the other person. And it might be that, leaving the relationship is a good idea. Showing up differently might be living somewhere else, being in a different place. Or it might just be looking, because I know sometimes, when I get annoyed with my partner, it can be, oh, great, that's it. No, why am I with him? This isn't going to work. But then it is an invitation to look at me, and going back to that beautiful headspace we were talking about living in, that is because we continually go back to, what can I do differently here so I have a different experience?
Yeah, and I think that's it, isn't it? When we ask that question, should I leave my relationship? Really, that's our wisdom saying something needs to be different here. We need to look within to find something different. And the outcome of that might be that the relationship ends, or it might be that the relationship takes on a whole new experience.
Yeah.
But it starts with you. And if that question's arising, that is in some way your wisdom saying, something needs to be different here. It's time to start looking. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, brilliant question.
So our topic this week, as chosen by Deb, is living an inspired life. And I'm a little bit interested if that came from anywhere, or whether there was something that inspired that, before I start maybe sharing what's coming to me on that topic.
Well, I think over the past few weeks, amazing things have been happening in our house. It's just been, and I know you were away last week, and it wasn't, it wasn't that me and Lou left. We were left unattended.
Yeah, and the room was full.
Yeah. In our defence, yes, you left us alone.
Yeah,
and
right.
Lou and I were having some truly beautiful conversations. I don't know if you're watching this, if you know, Lucy is Bec's sister, and the three of us and my wonderful partner who has a lot to put up with sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah, the four of us live together, and Lucy has been going through some amazing changes. It came to me because I've really seen that Lucy has gone from a life of quite a lot of struggle, really. Really struggling with herself and who she was on many levels. And she's really beginning to, I'm watching her, and I know you are too, we've got a front seat of watching her just blossom and come out and just explore. My little grandson is just learning to walk, and he's just been, when he's here a couple of times, he took his first steps and we were together, and they're really kind of unsure, and then if you try to hold on to him to do it, he's no, I can do this. He's right. It's just so beautiful to watch, and it's not dissimilar to watching Lucy, is it? She's exploring things that are totally new to her, and it's really, really interesting to watch her just go out with this amazing inspiration, and she's exploring through her art and through her writing, and it's just lovely to watch her. And that was where that came from. It was like, I think all of us live inspired lives. I feel like we follow intuition, we follow an inner knowing, and it's not that sometimes we don't get into, oh my goodness, there's a real world here that we should be bowing down to or whatever, or finding out more about. But I read a really lovely, I hope I can find it. I read a really, really nice Sid Banks, a little bit. I was reading The Missing Link, Sid Banks, and I read this, and this is kind of what was coming to me. Those who have found a balance between their intelligence and their innate wisdom are the lucky ones. And I think it feels, the inspired life thing for me felt like it's almost like that place of balance that we talk about, and sometimes maybe a tightrope between being in the human and in the spiritual, and just finding that beautiful, beautiful balance between our intellect, which is a fabulous thing, our humanness, our intellect, all that side, which I love playing in that arena. Your whole camping trip, what you did, it's just, it's brilliant. And playing, dipping our toes and exploring our spiritual nature. And along with the analogy of my grandson walking, it's kind of like watching Lou find this balance, and I think we're all walking it a little bit like a baby that's testing the steps somewhat.
Checking out what's happening. I think the thing that was kind of coming to me as you were saying some of that was like, living an inspired life to me is about doing the things that set my soul on fire. And I was reading this morning, I've started doing a book. I bought it ages ago. It's like a kind of sort of a workbook, but a really light-hearted one, and it's called something mindfulness or mindfulness something. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll find it and put it maybe underneath the show. But it's just little kind of thought for the days and little exercises to just be mindful and aware. And this morning's one, the section of the book I'm in at the moment is all about work. And I feel very privileged that I get to do something I truly love and enjoy. Like 99% of what I do, I love. And there was a little poem, and I can't remember it exactly, but the gist of it was that working and doing your work is whatever job it is that you've got to do, you're the best person to be doing it, and doing it cheerfully and doing it from that loving, happy place. And it really kind of, I read the poem and then the kind of exercises to write down what it kind of sparks in you, and kind of living the inspired life is that for me. It's seeing that I get to be cheerful about the things I get to do. It's seeing that it kind of lights me up from the inside when I turn up and do things that I enjoy. And I've been watching, to talk about Lucy, I've been watching that happen for her. Like, we were talking the other day about her paintings and kind of how to price those paintings, because really each one of those paintings is a little piece of her soul. It's something that's come through her in such an inspirational way. How do you put a price tag on that? And I often feel the same about kind of the work we do.
Yeah,
it's like, how do you put a price on something that is a piece of you? It's your heart, it's your soul, and it's coming through in that inspirational way. And how, there is no real way of pricing that, is there? And yet, because of the way that society works, we kind of need money to pay our rent and those kind of things. So you have to find a way of doing it. But it's like, when I get to turn up and do what is making sense to me to do from that cheerful place, that's an inspired life. And exactly like in that book, that's the balance between intellect and our innate wisdom. that sometimes, my intellect is saying, oh, it's probably a good idea to put a page on your website about this. Like we just mentioned the relationship school at the beginning. If that's on our website, intellectually, it makes sense that people can go and buy that. And then my wisdom says, and talk about relationship school from a place of knowing that that's essentially what you went through. That process that we do in relationship school, the stuff we share, is what I went through when I was going through my stuff and Deb was talking to me. The content and the way that we work it is basically how Deb worked with me in kind of format. And it's like, that's the wisdom bit. That's the build the program from there. And the intellect is put something on your website about. And those two coming together, that's an inspired life, because people get to join in with us and we have a great time, and they
feels
do
like
too.
It's all of it, isn't it? It's all of us, the whole, like Lucy producing those beautiful paintings, some of the amazing calls that we had during relationship, some of the fabulous times when we go on the retreats, and in other ways, all the beautiful call we had last night, the lovely people we speak to, it's all of it, isn't it? And it comes together, and it feels like those two pieces of the puzzle, our humanness and our spiritualness, doesn't feel like either one of them is a mistake. It feels, I just love the fact that I get to have a human experience, and I love the fact that I get to do it in such a safe arena, because I understand something deeper about who we truly are. The fact that we are connected, the fact that, there's just, I just feel so excited about this.
We just live such an inspired life, and we hope, if you feel you do too, we'd love to hear about
Absolutely.
that. And if you're not sure and you want to know a bit more about that, get in touch, because that's something we're actually offering at the moment to anyone who's on our mailing list, free 10-minute kind of calls to just hang out with us for 10 minutes. So if you're not on our mailing list, jump on our mailing list, and we would love to catch up with you for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and
we would.
maybe this would be a conversation to have. What is an inspired life, or what could that be for you?
What can it look like?
So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you've enjoyed the show. And next week, topics and questions that we decided together. Well, kind of. I came up with them and Deb said yes. So next week, our topic is going to be comfort zones.
Oh, those lovely comfortable places that we can live in sometimes.
Yeah.
And our question is, am I relationship ready?
Oh, good one.
So it would be great to have you with us next week, and I'm sure you can find us somewhere in between there. And take care.
Have a great day.
Bye.